Welcome to Nasdaq Trade Talks. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq. Joining me is Loveline Sadu. She's the co-founder and CEO of Bank Mobile to discuss the financial industry and move to a digitized model. Loveline, it's great to have you back with us on Trade Talks. Welcome.
Thanks, Jill. Happy to be here.
All right. Can you provide a brief background on Bank Mobile and why you launched the company back in 2015?
Sure. I'm so proud of what we've created here, and it's really about how do we get a model of banking that's for the people, that's thinking about the consumer, and especially as it relates to how do you create the most affordable, transparent, consumer-friendly experience when it comes to banking. And not only was it for the consumer in mind, but it was really about banks. And traditionally, banks' acquisition for customers has been branch-based. And it was really about how do you create a new digital model that's really higher volume, lower cost acquisition that's not just based on branches, but on technology to really be able to have a growth model and an income model that is at least as good at, if not better than traditional banks.
Yeah, well, I'm sure a lot of banks are learning about a digital model and how it can help during the COVID-19.
For sure, for sure. And it's been interesting for us as well. We are very grateful that we are a digital model and it's working really well during this time. In a low rate environment, having, interest-bearing checking accounts, which we can afford to do with our cost structure, having low to no fee accounts when on average Americans are charged about $160 a year in just monthly fees. It's definitely a model where we're seeing consumers starting to shift towards and more activity in our accounts.
How are you helping your customers during these unprecedented times?
I think number one is communicating with them and making sure that they know that we're there for them during this time, not just from a customer service standpoint, but also from a financial education standpoint, making sure that they understand, whatever tips we can give. We have a financial education coach that creates videos, creates courses, because it's really important for people to understand how can they make the best of what's happening right now. Second, it's really about our offering, to be able to have an interest-bearing checking account, low to no fees, and to be able to do everything from your couch, really, essentially, that you need to do for your banking, just creates, the technology and the experience where people can continue to have, no interruption in their current banking experience.
Well, Loveline, coming out of 2008, 2009, the financial crisis, banks had to reteach themselves about capitalization and risk control. Now that we're in 2020, they have to think about digitization, the entire platform. What's your outlook for the banking industry?
It's very interesting. I think that this is forcing an acceleration of adoption of technology. And it is for every business. It is for every consumer. It started with just work from home environments. Is your business prepared for this? And as a digital bank, we felt that we were already prepared, not just in our business model, but also prepared for people to work from home. But the banking industry is really going to be pushed to think about how to creatively serve the pain points of customers in a new digital way. And I think it's just going to accelerate innovation, technology that is demanded by the consumer.
Well, what's your advice for small business owners as they navigate the pandemic because they don't have the access to capital like these big banks do? They don't have as many options. How are you advising your small business clients?
Yeah, so, for small businesses, we're taking the same advice that we're giving. And number one is to communicate with your employees, with your customers, know that you're there, not just behind the scenes and supporting them fully. Two, it's looking at your business. How can you stabilize the current, events that are happening with your business? What actions can you take today to really stabilize operations? It's stress testing your business. What is worst case scenario? And model that in so you can start preparing and thinking about what steps can you take today to really protect your business in those worst case scenarios. And then it's also about offensive. What can we do in the current shift, in the current environment? What are new opportunities that have come where you can play more of an offensive than a defensive position and continue to look for growth opportunities? And lastly, I would say is cost. You got to think about cost efficiencies now. Maybe we were, riding the wave of great revenues in another part of our business, but now when there's headwinds, you got to think about how do you create the most efficient model with the least number of people, and renegotiate with your vendors, renegotiate with real estate, and look at how you can save costs.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how companies are going to diversify their revenue models for sure, just to plan for next time. Lovely. It's great to have you with us as always.
Thank you, Jill.
All right. And thank you for joining me. I'm Jill Malandrino, Global Markets Reporter at Nasdaq.